All right, good morning. Welcome to our Week 1 football press conference. Jack State head football coach Charles Kelly joining us first. Coach, reflect a little bit on camp, the way that you saw the team kind of come together and get ready to play your version of Jack State football.
Well, first of all, I think the players, and I've said this a few times, I think the players have worked very hard. I think they understand the importance of developing the right kind of habits, because habits are what you win with. It's not the way you want to play, it's the way you prepare to play. And that's what training camp's all about. Training camp's about building a toolbox for what you need for an entire season. It's not necessarily a game plan for a specific team. You're trying to prepare to play the whole season. But I've been very, very pleased with our players on, how they've gone about their business. We've had a lot of good days. We've had some days where we had to, reassess some things, but that's part of growing up. And I think, everybody knows, it's been noted that we have a lot of new players on our team. The one thing that I am proud of, I hear a lot of other coaches say, well, everybody in the locker room doesn't know everybody's name. That's not the case. I think our guys have done a good job of getting to know each other and, coming together as a team.
You mentioned the number of new players that you have at 51. You're going against a roster of 70 new players. Kind of share the difficulties or maybe the advantage of kind of the unknown on both sides of this.
Well, I think in college football today, especially in the first game or two, that's usually what, it's just where we're at. You're going to have roster turnover. It wouldn't matter if I was the head coach or Rich Rod was still here. There was still going to be a big turnover in the roster. Coach had a big turnover last year. There are some disadvantages because you don't exactly know what to expect. But then in the transfer portal world, we're all evaluating the same players. So, we know a lot of the players that they got. We know what kind of players they are, what kind of talent they have, just, from the evaluation side of it. From a schematic standpoint, I don't think it's an advantage or disadvantage. I think coaches are, they're pretty much creatures of nature. They are habit. They're going to do what they do. They're going to do what they've done to make themselves successful. So at the end of the day, you got to execute and play, and that's what it's going to be about.
All right, questions for Coach? I'll bring the microphone over. Go to Mark here in front, then we'll go to Max.
Could you go over what your quarterback picture looks like at this point?
Yeah, so right now, going into this game, Gavin has earned the starting spot. I will say that I'm very comfortable with all three quarterbacks. Now, I want to clarify that Gavin's our starting quarterback, but I feel comfortable with the three quarterbacks we have. I think our team is comfortable with with that position, and all of them have shown good leadership ability, the ability to move the team. But we feel like Gavin has done his part to earn the starting spot.
Could you describe what kind of quarterback he is?
I think Gavin has a lot of attributes. He's a big guy, very athletic, has a really strong arm. He can make every throw that you ask of him. He's also very athletic, very fast. So he is a threat. To be able to take it down. When whether it be the protection or the coverage. He's a guy that you got to be able to honor, because when he gets rolling now, he can move. But all of our all those quarterbacks have escapability in their own way. What I like about all of them is they bring us a little something different to the table, But I think Gavin's worked hard to become a complete quarterback, and I think his teammates respect him.
One more, you can pass it back.
Yeah.
You've been in the business a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
But this opener is a little bit different from any other for you. Have you had a chance to take a moment and think about the first game as a head coach?
Not really. I really haven't, because to me, this game is about the players. This game isn't about, it's not about me. It's about two good programs, playing each other. I mean, we've got this is a huge challenge for us playing UCF. What Scott Frost has done in his career, has been, I mean, it speaks for itself. What he did at UCF the first time, and in my opinion, what he did at Nebraska. I've watched throughout the summer and, to all the way up until this point. I've watched about every game that Nebraska played. And, what he did at Nebraska, he was in some tight games with Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin. He had that thing, turned around and, lost a bunch of games by single digits. So he's done an incredible job. So it's a huge challenge for us, and he's got a great coaching staff. I know a lot of the guys that are on his staff. Alex is a well-known defensive coordinator, been very successful. Sean Clark is offensive line coach, one of the best head coaches, at this level at App State, and great offensive line coach. So it's a big challenge. So I'm thinking more about that than I am, I'm trying to get our players prepared to play. That's my job. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on.
Just, you have 4 midweek games starting with this one. Just kind of, do you see that as a benefit, or is that maybe a challenge just because you guys obviously, I guess maybe not this game, but sometimes you maybe have less time to prepare than you normally would if it was a Saturday game?
I think the biggest thing for when we have multiple midweek games, again, just like players, coaches are creatures of habit. And when the schedule changes, like I'm on a different schedule right now. Football coaches think of Sunday through Saturday, and when you play a game, midweek, or it changes, like yesterday was our Monday. Today is our Tuesday. And that's how you have to, you have to sort it out in your mind. I do think it's an advantage for our university. And I've said this a lot of times. I think our football program is the biggest window for our university. So when we play these midweek games, we have a lot more people watching, and they're seeing first of all, it's good for our players to create value for them, and it creates value for our university. So I do think it's an advantage. The more people that see us play, it helps us all out. So I guess from the creature of habit, I guess sometimes that, I'm a little bit OCD sometimes, so I just have to get that in my mind. But we try to keep these guys on a schedule. I think they'll tell you that they like consistency, over time, and consistency they can develop, somewhat better. So we try to make it as consistent as we can.
We were talking about Scott Frost earlier. Have you ever, as a DC, faced him, or at any time in your coaching career going up against one of his teams?
Yes, he was at Oregon. They had a fabulous offense, one of the best in the country. And I've just watched him from afar. I don't know him personally, but first of all, I have great respect for him as a player and what he was as a player. And nobody gave him anything in coaching. He earned everything he got. He started out coaching at Northern Iowa on the defensive side of the ball. So he's one of these guys. He knows the whole game. Just watching him as a player, watching what he's done, through his career as a head coach and all those things, I got great respect for him and his staff.
What does your Tuesday practice look like?
Our Tuesday practice, I tell our players, it's like we call it a rock in the shoe practice. It's like you got a rock in your shoe all day long, and it's uncomfortable, and it's supposed to be uncomfortable. The only place, if you're comfortable, you're not going to grow, and that's what we try to, we try to create as tough of situations as we can, in that practice, and then we kind of, tapered off towards the end of practice because we want to make sure we got our legs going into the game. And but I feel like these guys have worked hard. Our strength and conditioning staff done an incredible job of getting them in shape. And but that's kind of how Tuesday is. That's a work day.
Just from big picture thinking, what do you hope to see out of year one?
Well, whether it be year one, year two, year three, and I know how people try to, you want to see improvement, in every year. But like I told these guys, the first time I met Bubba and Brock in the locker room in Orlando when they announced me as the head coach, we want to do things right now. And so it started then. And, I don't think it's fair to these guys that have come back to say, well, it's going to take 2-3 years to build this thing. But they have a clear picture of what we want to look like. Our goal is when they watch our football team, we want people to say, man, they are fast, they are physical, they're tough, they're disciplined, and they will compete. And it's not about results. We don't focus on the results. We focus on the grind, because if you do that, if you focus on that, then the results will come as they should. And I think probably different right now. It is an advantage when we can, because we lost so many people on the roster. It was an advantage to have the transfer portal so we could replace, a lot of those guys. 15 years ago, if that happened, now you're talking about 3, 4, 5 year rebuild, which that makes it a little bit tougher. So I think just the state of college football right now, you can kind of speed things up.
Yesterday was an off day for the guys, I guess, or whatnot. I know it's early and you don't play them till later in the year, but did you get a chance to watch Sam Houston in Western Kentucky last night?
Yeah, I told our coaches in staff meeting this morning, when the first game of the season's on, I can't help but it wouldn't matter who was playing. I think the first clip I saw yesterday was Kansas State and it was Kansas and Fresno State. I didn't get to see I didn't see any of the other game, but I watched the kickoff. I watched a little bit of the first series. I had it on a monitor outside my office, and of course we're a little bit farther in the breakdown right now, but yes, you pay attention because you want to see, all the things that happened in the first game, and what our keys to winning the game are, is what I'm looking at, seeing what these guys did. And not so much the result or scouting their team, but just to see, okay, who's turning the ball over, who's taking care of the football, who's playing good in the kicking game, how's the return game, all those things in that first game, who tackles well. That's kind of what, I glance at those games and see that. But as far as evaluating, where we're at compared to them, no, we're pretty focused on UCF.
We talked a bit about how this is kind of just a full circle job for you, but just going back to Orlando, just how full circle is that? You just said, obviously they announced you as the head coach there,
right,
7-something months ago, 8 months ago. How special is it to maybe start your career there? I mean, obviously I'm sure you'd like to start it here, but just, does it feel full circle?
Yeah, but I told the coaches and staff meeting today, it's like, and I'm sure the players feel like this too. I mean, it feels like we've been here 2 years waiting to play a game. I mean, that's the truth. But yeah, I had not thought about the Orlando part. I do think it, it's means a lot, like being full circle, coming back to Jack State, having the opportunity when Coach Burgess gave me the opportunity, to be a full-time coach, and then to be able to come back here as the head coach, especially with all the people that have coached here before, all the players that have played here before, that's, I think probably that means more the full circle to me than necessarily Orlando. As I told our players, it doesn't matter where we play at. We can play in the parking lot. We got to go play. And that's kind of their mindset, I believe.
Coach, these three guys will wrap up for you. Why them, and what have they meant to you getting started here in this program?
Well, first of all, I mentioned Brock and Bubba. they, you know, I think the first time I met with the team and the first time I had a team meeting, I think those guys, they're kind of the heartbeat of what we wanted our team to look like. What I just mentioned, they're fast, they're physical, they're tough, they're very disciplined, and they will compete. They will line up against anybody. Y'all just soon play in the parking lot as anywhere. They don't care. So they kind of fit the mold of what we're looking for. I just believe that when you go out to get players, if that's what you want your team to look like, then you got to get people that are like that. And I think that, you know, Trevor, I think, you know, I had an opportunity to coach Trevor at Colorado. I think the most impressive thing that his teammates would tell about him, he didn't really get here until late spring, early summer, and didn't ask for anything, didn't want anything special. He just came in here and played, and I think everybody on the team knows him and respects. You know, he got voted on our leadership council this week. You know, that was the leadership council that voted him on. That wasn't me. That was the players. Because I believe this, the players, when it's a player-run team, that's when you got a chance to be really good. If it's a coach-run team, you're going to have a lot of things. I think these guys understand, you know, what it takes to win. They know the importance of it, and you know, they've been very good leaders. And you know, better leadership you have, the better team you're going to have.
Bubba, let's start with you. You kind of, in just 1 year, gone from a freshman getting playing time to now one of the veterans of your offensive line room. Kind of talk about the role that you've had in that room, getting guys ready to play for Coach Strickett.
Honestly, I feel like everybody thinks or knows Strickett is a hard coach. It's just the mental aspect that you have to get all the guys on the same page and just push them and let them know, like, if you do about what he says and do the technique and things like that, then you'll be where you need to be, and you'll probably play for him. He keeps it real with you, I'm not gonna lie.
Brock, having been here so long and so familiar with this program, how easy was it for you to kind of move into that leadership role? You got the experience. Obviously, you're a key role in the offense. Did it kind of come naturally to kind of take that next step and kind of get in a position to take over this team?
Yes, I think it came naturally just being a senior and being a veteran in the group. Guys like me and Petway just being here for a while, you know, telling younger guys and the transfers just how it is, how you got to be, and how to approach everything.
Trevor, since you probably got some of the most experience, what is it like playing for Charles Kelly?
You know, he's hardwired. You know, he'll tell you exactly what he wants, and you know, if you do it, you know, he's honest with you. You know, you're gonna play or you're not gonna play. Like, you do what he says, and you'll have a chance. You know.
Awesome. We'll open up the questions for the guys. Let's go Max first, and then we'll pass it over to Mark.
Trevor, I don't know if you played UCF last year, but just kind of what have you seen from that offense in film so far, and kind of just knowing what Scott Frost is one of the maybe top offensive minds. Just what have you seen, and what are the challenges for you guys this week?
Yeah, I didn't get to play them last year. That was the first game I redshirted for. But yeah, I mean, they got a lot of new guys. So yeah, I've started looking at, you know, the new guys, you know, trying to just find, you know, highlights of them at other places, or you know, maybe a couple of them were there already. But you know, we've been watching a lot of Scott Frost. He talked about it earlier. You know, like there's, you know, years of film. You know, so he's all over the place. You know, there's some Nebraska we've been watching, some of his old stuff at UCF. You know, just trying to find everything we can about what they do on offense. You know, motions, personnel, you know, what they like.
Bubba and Brock, could you guys talk about what you've seen from Gavin at quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, like Coach was saying, he's a great talent. He can make every throw. He's a threat both throwing the ball and running the ball. And he's also a great leader. He came in day one in the spring, and everybody just accepted him as leader just day one. So.
Same thing Brock said. He's a leader. He came in day one. You know, got relationships with everybody, seen what he can do. He's a big guy that can move. That's what I'll say, and that's what I like about him. So, yeah.
Did you want to answer? answer as well.
Yeah, I mean, Gavin's my host for when I visited. You know, he's a really good dude. You know, that's first and foremost. You know, he's a great guy. Like he said, he has relationships with everybody on the team. You know, I really enjoy talking with him. Everyone does. So, I like him. And yeah, I mean, he could throw the ball. You know, we were bowling when we were on my visit. You know, he was throwing that thing in there like 20 miles an hour or something crazy. You know, so I saw the arm right there. But yeah, he can run and he's a big dude. So he'll be good.
All right, Bubba, tell us about Coach Trickett. Did you investigate him? I'll put it that way. Or had you heard stories about him?
Yes. So actually, my high school coach, he used to like go to clinics of Trickett's and stuff, and he told me about him before I came. I didn't really believe it, but then I got here. You know, I was on my OV. He was a nice guy. You know. Then we came. As soon as I stepped on campus, you know, it just switched. But you know, he's a hard coach. He wants you to do good, and he's very detailed. And that's what you have to be successful. You have to be very detailed in what you do in your craft. So he's a great coach.
Is he a perfectionist?
Yes, he wants everything to be perfect. You know, you can make your block, take the wrong step, you're wrong. So, you know, it's just things like that. But he wants you to do the best and make all conference, all league, all that.
Brock, you were a walk-on, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
So is the biggest difference between now when you got here, between then and now, confidence? Is that the big thing?
Yeah, I say confidence. I also just came in with a chip on my shoulder because I feel like I should have been when I got here. So, yeah, just confidence and but I always just still have a chip on my shoulder just to prove myself.
Trevor, are you looking forward to tackling somebody not wearing a Jack State jersey?
Yeah, it'll be good. It's been a while. You know, last year, like I said, I redshirted, so you know, it's been a while since I've gotten the opportunity to do that.
Brock and Bubba, how much has going against this Jacksonville State defensive practice helped you guys get better?
You know, for me, it's helped me get a lot better because we play a lot of man. So just getting open versus man coverage. And you know, they definitely do have a lot of difficult looks. So just seeing everything.
Yes. Over what he said, like the disguise is there. It helps me a little bit like, okay, you know, one person's here, like, I gotta go in a different way or trying to read stances and things like that. But it's definitely getting me better, like trusting my eyes and where to go.